Sarah Chapman.
Stephanie Goodell.
Alice, Dean, Ennis.
Dean Ennis.
John Smith.
Let's say position from the board. You all are a function of Oklahoma City, so there will be a chairperson. As long as, so you all may nominate each other. Then all- Yep.
I'll be the chairman of the board and somebody else. See everybody stepping up real quick. Okay. The proposed responsibilities. Is that what you want us to basically say what the mayor and council said, this is our responsibilities now? If so, can I get it from the minutes so that way it is appropriate, so nobody says that I said something wrong? Right. I'm asking.
I know you're right. I know you're right.
I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just asking.
You're not being difficult.
Morning.
Yeah.
Evening. I said morning. I meant evening.
I'm tired, okay?
Oh, who's gonna be the chairman?
Oh, thank you.
You've got an agenda for us and nobody gave us an agenda ahead of time to say, this is what you need to have prepared or what we're gonna do moving forward with this.
Moving forward as the fair board. So any events need to be put together and brought to the council. But if there is an event packet that needs to be filled out, you need to go through and we're not going to cover no secretary.
No,
No, just chair.
chair and co-chair.
Chair, that's what we need to co-chair.
Yes.
John Smith, the co-chair.
Motions, right?
Yeah. I was getting ready to. Whenever something is decided, there does need to be a motion and a second.
I make
And all in favor?
Okay, well then we need to start back at the
Yes,
beginning,
we do.
right after introduction.
Is there a nomination for chairperson?
I nominate Dan.
I'll second.
Dennis.
All in favor? All opposed? Co-chair.
I nominate Johnson. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Responsibilities of the fair board is to communicate with, as I understand it, the mayor and council of anything that the fair committee has going on at the fairgrounds, so that way they are aware of it. If there's anything needed from Public Works, that should come through at that time. If there's any city equipment, manpower, anything that should be addressed. Time frame, how soon? And I'm asking,
Well,
how
for
far advance do you need to know? And how big or how little of an event do you need to know about?
When I asked this question before, it was a over capacity. So grandstand seats 795, the inside seats 160, whatever it is, 193. So as long as it's within our normal occupancy rate, there was not an issue with the event permit when I had asked the council before. That's the answer that I had received, so.
But my question is, how big of an event do you need to know about?
Any,
If-
any event that is being put on by the fair board or the fair committee, because the fair committee is subgroup of the fair board, you're all connected. Okay?
Correct.
So any event such as, let's take the concert, for example, even though it is a rain date, that needs to be brought back here for the schedule. Anything like, the upcoming monster trucks that I've heard about.
That's not been finalized.
I know, but even just the idea of that should have been brought to the mayor and council first. Say, this is what we're planning, this is who we're gonna talk to. And talk to your liaison. And have that brought to the mayor and council and work together on it, because it is, you all are a part of the city, you are a function of the city, okay? Even though it's not being finalized, it's still in the works, that will still need to come to the mayor and council.
How about something as small as a yard sale? Do you want to know about those also?
Just fill out a form, or having this event, this day. It won't require, a yard sale won't require a meeting or anything like that. So Melinda will be able to determine what needs to go to the mayor and council and what is just a quick signature.
Now, is it going to Melinda, or do we need to
Go to
tell
Scott.
our liaison? You're splitting now. Let's get it straight.
It's not Scott's job to do any of the hard lifting. Scott is just there to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Now, suppose I didn't come tonight, I call Scott and say, hey, what was discussed? Or suppose I couldn't watch it on YouTube. I would call Scott, hey, what was discussed? Everything working good out there. But in talks of forums and things like that, Melinda's your go-to.
All right, well, how can we get a determining factor of what exactly needs to come through and how far it needs to go out?
So everything needs to go through, but whether it goes to the mayor and council, or it's just something that Melinda sends us an email and says, hey, fair's having X, Y foods on such and such date, that would be a determination by her.
Was determining that, I thought we discussed anything over fire, anything on the fire code, does any going on fire attention? Anything with that, is under the fire code that they're allowed in the building, so that I thought we had discussed that.
Well, I'm not saying that they have to, the city has to be notified about every event, and that's what I'm saying. Like this monster truck, apparently it's been advertised all over Facebook. I'm like,
It's
Not
not
by
been
us.
by us, and it's
Not by
actually,
us.
we've actually not been very happy about that, because there's nothing signed, there's nothing planned. It's not an official thing, because they have not gone through our hoops first to do that. So what they've put out basically on their own and against our wishes for that. So that probably will not be a thing.
So, again, I will just commit everything to her. The form is, I know you got something online,
Mhm.
but there still needs to be just some type of form. So, now, when it comes to alerting police, alerting EMS, and different things like that, that's the responsibility of the city as well. So y'all don't have to sit down and meet with them. It'll be come with Jesus right here in City Hall.
Okay.
And how many days in advance do we need to give that to her?
Permit paperwork says 30 days. But that's probably something that needs to be amended, because 30 days is too soon for most of these events that they want to know about.
I was gonna say, because sometimes, just like the event, the middle school has got kids that are going to California, and they have come to us wanting to have, instead of our sub sale, they wanna have a bingo to raise money to send these students. And that's not 30 days, you know, we don't have 30 days.
The bigger the event, the more time. So something as big, something like bingo, probably 60 days because of the context, getting everything together. The concert would have been 90 days to get out everybody, to get it in, on the agenda, mayor, council, contact department heads to get everything put together correctly. The bigger the event, the more.
But like a bingo,
Right.
that can be 30 days.
Mhm.
I mean, if you really want to think about it, a bingo could be 2 weeks in advance, because you ask yourself these questions. Is it going to require fire? Is it going to require EMS? Is it going to require police? Is it going to be alcohol? All of those answers are no. So that's something that goes right on.
Is that all written somewhere so that everybody can be on the same page as far as like what the capacity is gonna be or what it, cause right now the permit says just 30 days. It doesn't specify all those other things. So can we spell that out? You're gonna spell it out? Okay.
Everybody will get the same application that's gonna be online for anybody else, that all of you will get that. That's why I asked for emails and phone numbers, so that way I can make sure we have contact information, and we'll get text messages if we need to. Email forms, that way you all can see exactly step by step what we're all gonna do.
Covers basically the responsibilities of the fair board, the fair committee, meeting schedule.
Yeah, and who's on the fair committee?
The fair committee is its own entity, so it has its own bylaws, it has its own officers, it has its own staff, it has its own stuff. That's not part of us. Some of us are on both, but it's not part of us. It's its own business. It files its own tax returns. It is its own entity. So the fair committee, I think the name is a confusion, but the fair, if you named it anything else, it's its own entity. So the city has no, it's another business that's responsible, that's like basically there, but it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with this fair board other than we can oversee what they do, but
If
it's
you're
its,
overseeing what-
it's its own entity, so.
If you're overseeing what they do, then they're an extension of. So if the fair committee-
Well, it's more like a landlord tenant. They have to report to us as, they would have to report to us as kind of like the landlord of, you can do this, you can't do this, you have to follow these rules, you have to do these things, but they're kind of like, they're their own entity. We can't control, legally, we can't control them any more than a landlord can control a tenant. So this is where the confusion, I think, with everybody is, but we cannot control them any more than one person can control another person. It's its own business, it's its own deal. It has its own insurance, it has its own 501c3 filing, it has its own stuff.
Okay, now that, if they are their own, they're not an extension, and this fair board cannot oversee something that is its own entity, because we're mixing city and private. So who put together the fair committee?
Amesburg,
Back in the day, I
Because
mean,
they can't- If the fair committee is separate, then the five of you had nothing to do, then you don't oversee them and expect their events to come here. You were gonna follow where they have, you're gonna run the events to run out of the fair board, not the fair committee. You see what I meant?
yes, but that's the whole problem.
this is the whole problem we have.
Everybody has had, because
Mhm.
initially, this group right here, the way it was handled, and I know you went back and you found in the records what was actually done. But the whole purpose that this group was to handle the harness racing, to oversee the money that came from the state, and to handle the money that came in from the rent of the harness race building,
Mhm.
the stables. And that was it. That is all, because go ask Russ Blake, Billy Sparrow, we used to meet right here, and we would say, hey, there was somebody that was a city employee that had a running ledger of, this is the money that's come in for stall rent. This is the money that we've spent. This is the money that came in from the state. This is how much money you have left. And we did what we needed to accordingly. Also, if there was donations gathered from Terry Blade, anybody else around town, Linwood Duncan's family would donate money for the purses of the harness racing. It would come in to the city, so that way it was in the account. So when the purses were paid out, the city handled we made sure we got tax, social security numbers, but the city sent out the 1099s.
So the fair committee, when the fair committee is planning an event, they have to report it to the fair. And I heard what Melinda said when she said it's not landlord tenant, but it is a combined effort. That's what it is. It's a combined effort. You have the fair board. You all are in charge of everything out there. You've got the fair committee, who is an extension of the fair board that just so happens to have their own 501c3. And because they have that 501c3, they operate in the manner in which they need to operate. However, every decision that they make has to come through y'all, and then y'all bring it here. Except with their money. How they spend their money, we don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just want clarity on how we're gonna move forward. So basically, I don't really see anything changing from now, cause I'm still the one putting everything together and giving it to y'all. Sure.
It's landlord tenant. You said it right.
Yeah, because
And now in our terms, it wasn't right, but how you perceived it, that's exactly what it is.
The biggest thing is everybody gets confused with fair board and fair committee.
sure,
And that's the confusion, because it's always been the city fair board oversaw the harness racing. You have to have the harness racing to get the money from the state. If you don't run at least one race a year, other than when we had COVID, there were exceptions, you do not get the money from.
So basically, what this group is the executive committee over the Pocono Fair. Everything has to go through y'all. It's as simple as that.
And we control the harness race,
Yes,
and
and you
we're
still-
responsible for all of that.
Everything.
Okay.
all right, so do you wanna bring up the harness racing purses about the voting on ahead of time or whatever to get them paid, not 2 months after the race or whatever? While we're talking about that, you wanna,
We can't do that, we need to stick to the agenda. Okay. Yeah.
Now you wait in your comments. I'm gonna teach you today. In your when it gets to your comment, you can say whatever you want to say.
I just figured it was part of the responsibility, cause it's the responsibility of this board to make sure the jockeys get paid. So we're gonna have to have a procedure for how the jockeys get paid as part of this situation.
So what y'all do, and this is just the learning meeting, what y'all do is y'all draft it up. And your next meeting, you send it to Melinda so she can publish it. You have a meeting, you have a public hearing, if that's even necessary. So Melinda will contact the attorney, because it might just be a case where it's drafted and y'all vote on it. That's your next meeting.
Okay, in that beforehand, we need to talk to whoever's actually gonna write the checks and see how it needs to be handled
Right,
before we
that's
draft something, because we can draft something
So
and
what
then,
happens, so what'll happen with the checks? The checks from the fair board will come from the city.
Right,
So you
Right.
let Brandy know when you need that check drafted.
okay,
It'll be on the bill list, it's a couple people here, after it goes on the bill list, it'll get voted on in the mayor and council meeting. So that's why you need, when you know you need it, you go ahead and tell.
So it's gonna have to be in a July meeting if you want the
I'd
Japanese paid
rather
on
you,
time.
I'd rather you destroy a check.
Yeah.
Versus not be able to pay them when you need it. So
Yeah.
when you know you need it, you let her know, and she'll get it on the mayor and council bill list, and we'll get it pushed through.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to bring
But
that.
back to what I'm saying, I need to know if we're gonna draft a form up for these people that are racing their horses to fill out what you're gonna need for your 1099s and what do you want, so you know who gets paid for what races. Because you've got a first, second, and third. So that's,
So what normally happens, I receive an email from, and I can't remember what her name is. She sends
Pam Pope.
Pam Pope. When I receive that email, she gives me everybody's name, dollar amount, address, and she attaches the W-9. There were some, we didn't receive a W-9 from even after I requested 3 times until January of 2025. So when I received that email from her, that's how I know when to cut the checks, and they do go on the mayor and council list.
that's fine. I
Yep.
just, all of us, some of us are new,
Mhm.
and we want to make sure that everybody knows what's
Yep.
going on,
Mhm.
and including the public that is watching, so they know how this is done.
So it's really all about, I can only, especially if it's over a certain dollar amount, I can't issue, if I don't have that W-9, I can't issue the check. If it's over 600 or above, I have to have it in order to issue the 1099s at the end of the year. So with me requesting and constant requesting, I don't have the telephone numbers of
I
any of
understand.
those people
Well,
to contact them.
We'll see if we can't do a better job that if they want to be in the race.
And like, do y'all have some sort of like welcome packet when somebody does a race? So in order for them to do anything they need to do, they've got to fill out the W-9. Or he's not gonna issue a check.
They're told every year. We chase them around. So,
But yet they're the ones that complain that they're not getting their checks. It's taking 2 to 3 months for them to get their checks. So.
We're just
and-
trying to streamline this a little bit, so
Exactly.
everybody's happier. We would like to amend a few things if allowed, so that's why he's asking, so we can possibly make some adjustments, so it's not such a hassle.
anybody.
Right.
So is there a way that you guys could require them before they race that they must turn it in?
Sure.
Because if they don't, I mean, that solves a multitude of problems. If it is
We-
written that if
We
they,
can get to the point that you don't fill it out, you don't get Nisaki.
Mhm,
That's something.
Yeah. We
Am
can,
I correct?
mhm.
yeah, we can.
I got big shoulders.
Mhm.
If they don't fill it out,
Mhm.
they don't go on the track. That's something.
Is that how it is at other racetracks, Stephanie?
I mean, I've raced at their tracks where you get done racing, you go up and bathe your horse, you walk back up to the booth and you get your check.
Well, it's not gonna happen that quick.
I mean, you fill out a 1099, you gotta fill out a 1099. You gotta fill out a W-2, you hand it in with your ID and you can walk home with your check.
It's not gonna happen that quick. But if they don't have the 1099, their W-9 to be able to make the 1099. My suggestion is they don't even get to go on the track.
I understand.
Then,
I will put that in my note for you guys. Thank you.
meeting schedule. How often does the city require us to meet? I know we have to meet
At least once a month.
now. Are we gonna bounce it around as much as we bounced this one around? I'm just asking.
Y'all meetings are gonna be Tuesdays. What time you want? 5:30 or 6 o'clock?
Maybe one later than this one.
What time do y'all?
You see my bus still parked out there, cause I just got off of it. 6 o'clock would be better than 5. 5,
Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. What Tuesday is this? This is the second Tuesday? Yeah,
Well, it's the third Tuesday.
third Tuesday. So the first thing. Did we have a meeting?
This month, 5 days.
Oh, okay.
It's because of the way that, yeah, the
Oh,
third vote on Monday.
Okay, it comes before the meeting, so the second Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock.
Now, when it gets close to race time, if we need to meet more often,
So Gonzalez, what you do is you let Melinda know. Cause all that takes is an advertisement. So she just needs to know 24 hours in advance that you all, so that Monday, 24 hours from the time you wanna meet. That's all she needs.
so all of our meetings are public meetings. We don't have any
You
closed
can have closed
meetings,
sessions.
so we can do closed
You
sessions.
can do closed sessions. But it has to meet the criteria of what you can call a closed session for. So like, if you're talking about land, you could do that. There are a couple different categories, and Melinda will make sure that y'all get each thing that you can call a closed session.
Sessions, I heard that from Ryan a couple of times too, back in work sessions, you can make it work between mayor, council, and board in the time you need to.
the only comment I have is, we're trying to increase the races and draw more people to come to Kokomo. And I think the more we work together, the longer we work together, the better we're gonna be, because basically, we're all new, except for Dean and I, we're all new, they're all new to this, and, the way it was previously done when my husband was handling things, it was not like what we're doing now, so, we all have to learn.
And I think that these meetings will get y'all some more volunteers out there. I think that when people start to see these meetings happening, they'll say, oh, I wanna be a part of it.
Like Miss AJ said, 3 of us are new. Miss AJ and Dean, they've been at it a while, so it's gonna take us a few weeks to get our feet on the ground, but I've worked with this bunch enough. They'll get their feet on the ground and we'll get it right.
Comments from the audience?
No, the only thing that I can say is, you're right, being a contractor for 25 years, once the job's done, you get the check. So, and if I was asked for a 79, it was given before I was paid. So, like you said, the official started, and the paperwork and the check.
So your name is?
Edward Popshop, POP, CHRC.
Thank you.
No other comments? Adjourn this meeting.
Entertain motion.
You gotta make a motion.
No, I thought you already made it.
I can't.
Can't make it.
I made a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.